G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for being here and watching my content. I really do appreciate it. And as always, it is my absolute pleasure and privilege to be here to entertain you with some rugby content. Now, Six Nations this weekend, I'm extremely excited because this is the first stop to Rugby World Cup glory, and England will be hosting Scotland at Twickenham. Whew, oh boy. So, obviously, Steve Borthwick has been in charge of England, and, there's a saying that the bread always falls with the butter side down. He's had a pretty difficult selection for this England team, and when I saw the team, I was actually really impressed by what he's come up with. Like a lot of the issues, I felt like was with Eddie Jones's selection has been rectified, and has managed to pull up a team that I'm really impressed, and I actually can't wait to see this team perform. So before we get into the exact team lineup, let's take a look at some of the news, some of the stuff that you need to know going into this test match. Like I said, the England team was Steve Borthwick was hamstrung before the selections even began. He had a lot of injuries in the key areas, in two key areas in specific, in particular. Firstly, in the hooker position, Luke Cowan-Dickie is out, and Jamie George was on the borderline of also not able to make it due to a concussion. But Jamie George is selected, is fit to play. England is left to debut a hooker on front of the bench, which is still a little bit of it's still better than debuting a hooker to start with Jamie George there. Still a little bit of a sweaty moment for Borthwick in that bench position hooker. With that being said, the second position that Steve Borthwick really had an issue going to this Six Nations opener is that center position. He had Elliot Daly, who's in spectacular form, injured. Henry Slade, despite being clear from the red card, injured this week. So two key centers injured. He caught up Guy Porter. So it was really interesting to see what he was going to do at center position. But I think he really made the right decision there at center. And finally, England, Courtney Lawes is out. So yeah, England Borthwick has to work with that very, very important piece of the puzzle. Without that very important piece of the puzzle, as well with his selections. So next up, so obviously he has made some really interesting decisions to cut some of the weakness from the squad. Something that I really felt like I was actually, it really stood out to me why Eddie Jones didn't do this. Didn't do this when he was in charge. First up, that was a glaring issue to me was Johnny Hill. His performance against South Africa. He had proven in the past that he has issues controlling his emotions, controlling his discipline, and with the head grabbing and all that sort of stuff against Australia. And that really exemplified against the Springboks, where he was completely put out of his game with just, not able to control his emotions. The Springboks pushed his buttons a few times and he just completely kind of lost it. And yeah, he really let the team down, I felt like. So Johnny Hill basically was cut from the squad by selection. So I was actually surprised that Borthwick made that decision. And secondly, the big one that I thought should have been cut, even for the Springbok game, is the Mano Tuilangi. Eddie Jones really given this guy too much time on the field that he didn't deserve. His performance against Argentina was horrendous. I thought that was already enough for him to get cut. Eddie Jones gave Kai Porter a run against Japan, which made England just look a lot better. And then he gave Tuilangi another go against the Springboks. Again, horrendous. His performance for the Sharks has been, for the South Sharks has been, so not too impressive. And Borthwick, despite having center issues, has made the tough decision, and I think the right decision, to cut him from the selections, cut him from the 23 on the game's day. So yeah, with that being said, Scotland also has a bit of an issue with their fitness stuff. So they had Xander Fagerson fit for selections, but he wasn't selected at all. And then they had what's his name? Johnny Gray, I think his name is Johnny Gray, also returning from fitness, so he was available for selections for Scotland. So it's all kind of good news for the Scotland side. And now, the history between the two teams, England versus Scotland, England has been overall leading the Scotland 76 wins to 45, but it is the most recent times that is the most telling for and the most relevant. So Scotland has beaten England 2 years in a row now, both away and at home. Provided that the game at Twickenham 2 years ago was in front of an empty stadium, still Scotland was able to win back-to-back in 2 years in a row. And the surprising thing here is that England hasn't beaten Scotland at Twickenham since 2017. So the game previous to that in 2019 was a draw. So yeah, Eddie Jones really hasn't had a good run against Scotland for quite a number of years whilst he was in charge. So this weekend, Twickenham sold out. I think this is going to be this is going to be a really difficult test for the Scottish team. Let's have a look at some of the history, some of the recent results for both teams. Why is this not showing? But yeah, anyway, so the Scottish team last year essentially had a pretty average year. The Scottish team had a really good start after beating England, and then they just kind of almost. I feel like the team has a really casual culture. Players were out partying. There was Finn Russell got dropped. Stu Hogg got dropped from his captaincy. November Test. Some of these players kind of got a bit of a wake-up call and performed really well, I felt, in the November series against the All Blacks and against Argentina. So with that being said, if Scotland can keep that consistency they had in November, go into this England Test match, they have a chance. But yeah, history suggests that the Scottish team's consistency is a very big glaring issue. England, on the other hand, we've already spoken about it. Really poor series in the November Tests with a loss to Argentina at home, a draw to the All Blacks, and then losing to the Springboks. They did have a win against Japan. A lot of the players, like I mentioned, wasn't performing for them, which led to Eddie Jones being sacked, essentially. So Borthwick has a pretty big task at hand to try to turn this England team around. And he has really swung the hammer in terms of the selections. So in terms of weather, this is going to be in London on Saturday evening. This is going to be overcast, probably should be dry. And conditions going to be quite good for a game of rugby. Maybe a little bit moisture on the ground, but overall this shouldn't be affecting either teams on the day. The wet referee will be Paul Williams from New Zealand. He's the guy who gave Faf de Klerk a yellow card after swiping Nick White on the beard. So Paul Williams, I actually think he's quite pretty decent referee. He actually is more towards the side of mitigating factor side than just giving out yellow cards. So so Paul Williams is one of the referees. If he can find a reason to mitigate a red card down to a yellow card down to a penalty, he will do so. So the likelihood of seeing a yellow card is low with this guy on the field. Not like Wayne Barnes, absorbing tackle level of low, but it's relatively low compared to some of the other referees that you might have for the Six Nations. So yeah, Paul Williams will be a pretty good referee for this test match. Now the selections. So as we mentioned, there was a few areas Borthwick needed to identify and fix for the England side, and I think he's addressed a lot of those issues with the selections of this England team. So first up, the front rowers, Ellis Genge, Jamie George, and Kyle Sinclair. Ellis Genge is by far the best loose set prop in England. Really, really good scrummaging and good running game as well. A lot of physicality in his carry game as well. So Ellis Genge definitely a good selection, number one. Jamie George again as well. Really good technical set piece executioner, but also a good ball runner as well. The only person I felt like is a little bit out of his form is Kyle Sinclair. He's not nearly as dominant as he is nowadays than he was in 2019. But Kyle Sinclair still, an experienced player to have on the field in a tight head position. For Scotland, though, the front row was really impressed in the Champions Cup. So Pierre Showman, his performance for Edinburgh was just spectacular, unbelievable. He plays like loose forward. The amount of tackles and amount of turnovers he gets, he's almost a loose forward, but he's a loose set prop. Man of the match performances in the Champions Cup. So he's going to bring a lot of pressure for the England team, both in the scrummaging, in the set piece, and at the breakdowns. So Pierre Showman, I'm really impressed by how well he played for Edinburgh. So good to see that he earned that starting jersey at number one. Georgie Turner gets number 2 jersey. And then Willem Nel, someone I did feel like was a little bit lacking last year in November Test Series. He again has performed really well for Edinburgh. That scrummaging, that set piece has been, performing spectacularly. Both the tight end and loose hip prop has developed in recent times. So yeah, this will be a difficult task for England to be honest, in terms of the upfront battle in the scrummaging. Now in the locking positions, Mario Tojes and Ollie Chesham favored at the number 5 jersey. Like we mentioned, Johnny Hill has been dropped basically because they favor Ollie Chesham, a much younger, much faster. I think he plays for the Tigers. Gets caught in the score by Bothwick at number 5 jersey. Mario Toji, everybody knows, probably potentially has the potential to be one of the best locks in the world. It just all comes down to, under the right guidance, he can definitely get himself there. Richie Gray, the brother of Johnny Gray, I think his name is Johnny Gray, is number 4 jersey. I think, is it Johnny Gray? He's on the bench. Yeah, Johnny Gray is on the bench after returning from injury. So Richie Gray takes his spot number 4. Grant Gilchrist, number 5 for Scotland. Quite solid selections there. I was surprised they didn't select that other guy. What's his name? The other lock from Edinburgh. But anyway, so I'm actually surprised that Gilchrist gets selected over the lock from Edinburgh. But anyway, that's the lock set up for the Scottish team. Now the loose forwards. This is a completely different loose forward setup of the England side from what Eddie Jones had been running. So this could be the difference that Bothwick is looking for, that faster breakdown, faster pack that Bothwick wanted to play, a style that is, clearly different from what Eddie Jones was operating. So Lewis Lutlam gets number 6 jersey. Ben Curry, Tom Curry's brother, gets number 7 jersey. Tom Curry obviously injured. And the big man, Alex Don Brown, gets called in at the number 8 jersey. Don Brown has been absolutely spectacular for his club team, the Harlequins, and just really, really physical, really dominant in all of his everything he does, and he's just just absolutely tremendous for his team. I'm pretty sure he's the captain for the Harlequins as well, and just really lead by example, bringing that work rate, bringing that impact into the play. So really good to see that he gets number 8 jersey, and look forward to see how this is going to make a difference to the England 4-pack, especially at the breakdown and potentially in that faster carry game as well. For Scotland, Jamie Ritchie, Luke Crosby, and Matt Ferguson gets the back rower selections. Jamie Ritchie, obviously the trial, the veteran now for Scotland at number 6 jersey. Luke Crosby is a new guy, only two caps for Scotland. His performance in club for Edinburgh has impressed, alongside Jamie Ritchie, obviously, and they gets the number 7 jersey. And Matt Ferguson, the number 8 for Scotland for quite some time now. Gregor Townsend seems to favour him at the number 8 jersey. Like I said, Xander Ferguson, despite most people believing him to be the best tight end prop, is not selected at all. Is he on the bench? I'm pretty sure he's not on the bench. So he's not selected at all. So really interesting to see that Willem now has, being able to secure that tight head position for himself. Matt Ferguson gets number 8 jersey, as we just talked about. In the back line, again, like I said, this huge selections by Bothwick, and some key areas that he has identified as an issue, and something that I've noticed as well. I think everybody probably noticed, and he has made those changes, made those tough decisions for England as well. Whether this is going to work or not, we will see. I'm very interested to see if this is going to work out or not. So Jack Van Povier obviously is a guy Eddie Jones has already been running. Had a bit of a struggle against the All Blacks under pressure, but as he develops, he will be getting more better and getting more experience. Marcus Smith, probably the best English talent for the last 20 years or something. Maybe the last guy who has been as talented as he is would be like Johnny Wilkinson, maybe. Just unbelievable guy at number 10, and he's definitely he's even favoured by Bothwick to be the 10 over Owen Farrell. I really thought Owen Farrell might get a 10 jersey with Bothwick in charge, but Bothwick wants to stick to that faster attacking options with Marcus Smith at 10. For the Scottish side, Ben White and Finn Russell gets the 9 and 10 combination. Finn Russell has been absolutely spectacular since he returned from Racing 92 last year against the All Blacks and against Argentina. His performance against Argentina was probably the best performance in his career, it was absolutely unbelievable. He was cutting through the Argentinian backline like hot knives through butter again and again and again and again. It was just, yeah, like absolutely. It was the best fly hard performance of the year. That was hands down. It was unbelievable. So if he can put up a performance like that, I think England will definitely struggle a little bit. But yeah, it really depends what form he is in. His performance for Racing 92 at the moment hasn't really been that spectacular. I did watch. They got eliminated from the Champions Cup. The Champions the Champions Cup, European Champions Cup or Champions League, whatever you call it. So yeah, wasn't that impressive. So yeah, don't know which version of Finn Russell's gonna turn up this weekend. It's a question mark that nobody knows. And hopefully it's the Finn Russell against the All Blacks. It's Finn Russell against Argentina, because I've been looking forward for him to repeat those performances because they were just absolutely beautiful rugby to watch. Number 11, Ollie Hassel-Collins gets a debut at number 11 for England. Again, a club rugby player that I think he plays for the Tigers. Someone that obviously Bothwick has a close eye on, gets a debut at 11. Considering he's taken the spot over, he dropped, what's his name? Jack Noel from the squad. So Ollie has to be extremely good to take a spot over Jack Noel, someone that Eddie Jones has been favouring for many, many years. Duan van der Merwe, probably the best number 11 in the world. And again, he has not been performing for Scotland. His best performance of his career was against the All Blacks last year, and he hasn't really performed like that ever before. So again, just like Finn Russell, if he shows up like he did against the All Blacks, the absolute belting machine that he was, England's going to have a really, really tough time. But which one's going to turn up? No one knows. Owen Farrell gets number 12 jersey. This is obviously a very surprise selection by everyone. Everybody thought, what was his name? Sir Clive Woodward has called for Owen Farrell to not play 12. But obviously, Bothwick agrees with Eddie Jones, thinks that Owen Farrell is suited for 12. I actually feel like Owen Farrell is a bit too, the way he plays is not physical enough for the style of like hard crashing ball 12. But maybe Bothwick want Owen Farrell to play more like a second playmaker 12. We shall see. I mean, there's multiple ways to play the 12 position. The upside of him is the more stereotype standard 12. Tui Pelotu, Simones, Tui Pelotu. I've been looking forward for this 10-12 combo of Finn Russell and Tui Pelotu since the Argentina game. That Tui Pelotu has been absolutely spectacular for Edinburgh. So yeah, he's not gonna be playing any second 5A role. He's just gonna get the ball and run at you hard. And Finn Russell will be looking at creating space for this guy to break through the gang lines. So yeah, Owen Farrell will have a difficult time dealing with Tui Pelotu. And here's another thing that Bothwick has identified. Despite having Mano Tuilangi in the team, despite all the injury issues, he has opted for Joey Merchant at number 13. I was very impressed with Joey Merchant last year. I was very surprised that Eddie Jones dropped him for the November Test Series. I thought that was a big mistake by Eddie Jones. And it's good to see that Joey Merchant is back at number 13. And opposite number of him, Hugh Jones gets called in for Scotland, number 13. Number 14, Max Malins, again, another guy showing that, a younger setup for the England side, wants some more speed, wants some more speed on the field, wants a faster attacking style, gets number 14 jersey. Kyle Stang, another different selection for Gregor Townsend. Stang has been really, really good for Scotland, albeit against, tier 2 nations, so to speak. But yeah, he's a try-scoring machine, a South African by birth. And great import for the Scottish side for number 14 jersey. And finally, number 15, the battle of the fullback. Potentially two of the best fullbacks in the world at the moment. Freddie Stewart, absolutely spectacular under the high ball. Same as Stuart Hogg. But Stuart Hogg do have that kicking advantage over Freddie Stewart. So yeah, how is Freddie Stewart going to cope with Stuart Hogg's kicking game? We shall wait and see. This could be an area, this could be a real test for Freddie Stewart to really solidify himself as one of the best fullbacks in the world. Finally, the reserves. Jack Walker, like I said, hooker position, debuting as due to injuries. Michael Vunipola gets a number 17 jersey. Dan Cole gets number 18 jersey on the bench. So again, this is another area that I've talked about that Eddie Jones has neglected a little bit is that reserve front rowers. He had like what I think he had Joe Mala last year, who was horrendous coming off the bench, and then this year I think he had like what someone else as well. I think it might be Bevan Rudd or something. Again, the reserve props hasn't been delivering for England for Eddie Jones, and Dan Coles, the veteran, has been brought in to, just bring that stability, bring that experience to close out the game for England and the number 18 jersey. And clearly Borthwick has looked at it and identified that as an issue and made changes to it. Fraser Brown comes to number 16 for Scotland. Jamie Barty gets number 17. And Simon Burkham gets number 18 over Xander Fagerson, which is a little bit surprising. Nick Izavek gets number 19. Izikava, anyway, gets number 19 jersey. Johnny Gray, returning from injury, gets number 19 for Scotland. Ben Earl, number 20 for England. Jack Dempsey, former Wallaby, gets number 20. I think Jack Dempsey has not been performing for Scotland. Too many penalties. He really needs to pick up his discipline. Ben Youngs gets number 21 for England. George Horn, number 21 for Scotland. Ollie Lawrence gets number 22. Again, just really different selections here by Borthwick, number 22. Blair Kinghorn, number 22, ones by Gregor Townsend. Finally, number 23, a big return by England side. Anthony Watson will be an absolute weapon to come off the bench. And Chris Harris has been moved down to the bench to the number 23 position as a reserve center. So yeah, that's the selections for both teams. This is so interesting to me to see Borthwick has completely shuffled up the team. And he's definitely done his homework. He has shuffled, definitely identified the areas that England, is suffering, speed, the reserve prop positions, and obviously the center, the lack of the center, the inability, the lack of performance from the center. Obviously has looked at those areas and made adjustments to it. So yeah, this will be a difficult one because obviously the experience of a lot of these players are a little bit newer. So it's a big roll of the dice for England. If Scotland, Scotland's so difficult to predict which Scottish team is going to turn up. If they turn up like they do, they did last year against England, they can win. But if they turn up like they did, against Wales, then I don't see the Scottish team to win. So yeah, really difficult to see. But I think England will win this one because it's at home. Because I do think that a lot of these young players will bring something different for Scotland to deal with. And I do think that the Scottish team, I don't know. I think, really hard to say. I think England might win this one just to prove Eddie Jones wrong. And, England win by 3. Let's say 21 points to 18. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you guys this weekend for the reviews. Cheers.